we always love talking movies. We always love talking TV. And the passing of Robert Duvall the other day at age 95, a life in full to say the least, but it gutted me. I have been a fan of this man's work for decades. And in case many of you may not know, the first time we saw Robert Duvall on the screen was in 1962. He played Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. Look at him right there, back in 1962. And then, of course, after quite a turn there, appeared in many films. He was the original Frank Burns in the movie MASH. By the way, he created that character. He played the lead in George Lucas's first film ever, THX 1138. That was back in 1971. He was Tom Hagen, the consigliere for Marlon Brando's Don Corleone and Godfather 1, Godfather Part 2 as well in 1974. There he's with Frank Pantangeli there, telling Frank what he needed to do back in the day. Network, which is a movie that speaks so near and dear to my heart. This movie, he played the Hatchet Man, Frank Hackett, for CCA, the network for Patty Chayefsky's brilliant film that presaged everything that's happened with network news these days. Apocalypse Now, 1979. It was his second time being nominated. He was Colonel Kilgore talking about the smell of napalm in the morning. His first nomination was for The Godfather. His third nomination came in 1979 as well for The Great Santini. He played Bull Meacham, and an abusive Marine pilot who had some family issues, you could see right there. 1983, a broken down country singer who put his life back together, Max Sledge in Tender Mercies. That earned him his first Academy Award win. Robert Duvall back in 1983. Another film they'll also talk about, of course, for you sports fans out there, The Natural. He played Max Mercy.
Right.
Wound up letting everyone know about Roy Hobbs's story. Look at him right there. 1996, he played Billy Bob Thornton's dad in Sling Blade. And there he is in that role, Billy Bob Thornton on the left right there. The Apostle in 1998, he earned his final Best Actor nomination. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor 2 more times. Passed away at the age of 95. And The Apostle and also Sling Blade, 2 of, to my count, 5 films in which Billy Bob Thornton and Robert Duvall collaborated. And joining us now to talk about the passing of his mentor is the Academy Award winner, Billy Bob Thornton, here on the program. Great to see you, Billy Bob Thornton. I hope I did a little bit of justice before you came on here about your mentor.
Oh, it was awesome. No, you were terrific. I think you covered all the main points there, and I did do 5 movies with Bobby as an actor, and then and I directed him. He directed me. I directed him twice, and then wrote a movie. Tom Epperson and I wrote a movie called A Family Thing that Duvall starred in with James Earl Jones, that was shot at the same time we were shooting Sling Blade.
So when's the first time you ever crossed paths with Robert Duvall?
We had the same agent over at William Morris in late 80s, and he said, you and Duvall really need to know each other. And Bobby had seen this movie that Tom and I wrote called One False Move, which was the thing that kind of put us on the map as writers in Hollywood, not with the public as much, but, within the business. And I guess that was 90, 91, somewhere in there. But Bobby liked that movie a lot. And we just, started hanging out. And
what was that like, man? What's it like hanging out with Robert Duvall, Billy Bob?
Well, Bobby had a very quick wit, and he had 2 kinds of senses of humor. He had this really dry irony, and then he had this sort of Three Stooges sense of humor. Like he had a dog named Gus, a little Jack Russell Terrier. And I remember being at the Four Seasons in Austin, Texas. I was meeting Bobby over there, and he had Gus with him, and he sicked Gus on me. He said, "Go get him, Gus." And Gus came and bit me on the leg, and Bobby thought that was the funniest thing on earth. But anyway, so he was my mentor. I mean, to be plain and simple about it, he is the guy that I looked up to, and I grew up in music. I didn't know I was going to be an actor, but there are certain things even before I ever thought anything about being in movies that I'd seen him in that really struck me. And so the character in Sling Blade, I mean, has a little bit of Boo Radley,
Sure.
and but he just he showed me that yes, you can be real, you can be natural in this stuff. And Bobby didn't like to talk about acting, and people, they're always asking him. I did a long interview about Bobby yesterday, and the writer wanted to know what acting tips I got from him.
Right.
And he just didn't like to talk about acting. He would talk about the movies, the experience of making something. He would tell you about stuff like, that actor over there, I don't know about him. I don't think I trust that guy, and that kind of thing. So he would say stuff like that, or he would tell you about a director he didn't like, or, somebody on the set that, slept with all their grips or whatever, it was
some Hollywood tea, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So what did you pick up?
Gossip.
What did you pick up from him then? Like watching him as a fellow actor or a director or being directed by him? What did you glean being around him then?
Well, really, that you can take all the methods in the world, all the tricks, and they don't mean anything if you're not real in the moment and in the situation. For instance, when it says in a script, Terry breaks down in tears or whatever, I've probably never cried in a movie where it said I was supposed to, but I have in places where it said I didn't say I was supposed to. And Bobby and I talked about that once, and he said, that's the thing. He says, whatever you're feeling right now, just be in that situation, and I mean, it was a style of, naturalistic acting. I mean, he probably, he did some other things where he did have to study up more than I did. Like he would play people with accents a lot of times, like, he played Stalin and, people like that. So, sometimes he was very hardworking and studied in his characters, when he had to play someone that far from himself. But
what do you think Billy Bob Thornton is his best work? What do you think? If you had to pull one outside of whatever he did with you, clearly. But what do you think was seminal Robert Duvall? You want to tell somebody that wants to learn about what he was about, whether it was his physical acting, whether it was his spiritual acting, whether it was an accent, whether it was his Oscar-winning role. Which one would you say is Robert Duvall's tour de force? Would you say?
I would have to say Tender Mercies. At least that's the one that struck me the most. Tender Mercies and Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove was Bobby's favorite performance of his ever. And he loved that. I mean, he loved a lot of them, but that one, I think, is probably the closest thing to his heart was Lonesome Dove.
You're talking about the television miniseries that he did.
Mm-hmm.
What did he share with you, if you don't mind sharing with us, that he was proud of that one especially?
He just loved the way it was written, and he loved the character. And Bobby was kind of a cowboy at heart, and I think he had some of the old West in him. He always wanted to do those shows, around horses and outlaws and guys like he played, like Gus and Lonesome Dove. He just liked that stuff. And like I said, I mean, I wish I had more to tell you about I spent, thousands of hours with this guy. And like I said, he was my mentor. I probably have acting information from him or things about his roles about as much as you could fit in a walnut shell.
No kidding.
He talked about meat and tango. And see, for about 25 years, I haven't eaten red meat in at least 25 years,
Okay.
probably 27 or 8. Bobby was obsessed with steak and barbecue. And so I spent these last 27, 28 years pretending that I eat meat. And because he was completely obsessed. Every week, every other week, he had a new best barbecue in the world. He goes, it's like, well, I thought this place over in Fort Worth was the best. He goes, no, this place in Virginia is the best barbecue in the world. Have some. So Bobby's wife, Luciana, who we call the saint, she was with him for, over half her life, and up till now. And she and I had a sort of running joke about it, because if Bobby had known that I ate quinoa and stuff like that, he would have hit the roof. So anyway, but he would go out. Amazing. He loved to order for the table. So he would order these giant steaks that were for, the 3 or 4 or 5 people. And he liked his just where they would just touch it to the grill on each side. It was essentially raw. And so I would when I was around him, when he had one of his dogs with him, I'd just feed it to the dog under the table when he wasn't.
I was going to ask, how did you dispose of the meat? How did you make it seem like you were consuming it?
If you get him in a conversation about something he's passionate about, like it could be anything. It could be soccer. It could be anything in the world.
Yeah.
He wouldn't think about it, so I'd always kind of tee him up, to start talking to people about something. And then when he did that, I would give it to somebody, or I would, not ever order anything, I remember we were in Boston when we were shooting The Judge, and we went out to a restaurant one night because Bobby said I had to try the steak. And Luciano was behind him kind of laughing, and, because we've been keeping up this ruse for years, and so I literally had a quinoa salad in front of me, and Bobby looked at it. And he goes, "What the hell is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's just the salad. My steak's coming later, Well, they brought their food and everything, and mine just never came, because when he would get going on a subject, he didn't pay much attention to, anything else. So I usually got by with it that way, by just kind of getting him on something and, never order a steak. And there were a couple of places we went that had a vegan kind of deal that kind of looked like steak, I pretended that was steak a couple of times, like a portobello mushroom or something.
Who knew? This is one of maybe your finest acting jobs ever, was letting Robert Duvall think that you were a steak eater, Billy Bob Thornton.
Absolutely.
Hey, man. Listen, I appreciate you sharing time. And if you don't mind me taking this moment to, potentially embarrass you, but Landman is outstanding. You know how I feel about your current work with this show. Simply outstanding. I love every frame of it. You are spectacular in it. Your scenes, this year in particular, with your family members, it's great. It gets better every week. And I just wanted to get that off my chest with you right here. Billy Bob
Thank you very much.
You got it.
I love doing the show. Yeah, I really do. And I feel blessed every day. My mentor was Robert Duvall, that we just talked about. I grew up around a lot of those guys, and now I get to do a show like Landman, which Taylor actually wrote for me, which you don't get very often, something where somebody just gives you a pair of pants that fit instantly. And
Exactly. And for you show off your humble man, Billy Bob Thornton, that you get, I guess, if you will, shown up in a scene by Jerry Jones and are happy to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, it was amazing because, maybe if that had been scripted in a way that Jerry had to know it all line by line, it wouldn't have gone that way, maybe, but he was telling his own story.
Right.
He told his life story right there for me and John Hamm. And I got to say, I was mesmerized. I got caught up in the story. And so there was no acting in that scene from anybody, from me, John, and Jerry. It's just three guys in there listening to Jerry Jones' story. So, if he had been playing some guy named Clyde, who was a bag man for the mob, might not have been the same thing. But
That's funny.
But yeah, he was awesome. And, Jerry was on because I'm a Razorback fan, and
yep.
And grew up as one, and Jerry and
Jimmy, right? Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer were all on that 64 Razorback national championship team.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. It is. Well, listen, Billy Bob Thornton, I really appreciate your time. You know how I feel about you and your show. And honestly, I thought maybe we'll hear some, on the set stories from back in the day that he shared with you. But I find it fascinating that he didn't talk about that sort of stuff. And that,
I got stories. I've got stories I can share with you, but they're like, I'll just put it this way. Bobby didn't suffer fools, And so he told me one time, he said, on every movie, at least once, you got to let the director know who he's talking to. I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Okay. For the next time. ... Ellipses to end this conversation. Thank you, bud. You be well, and I do hope to see you here in studio. If not, us personally crossing paths. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon.
And my condolences to you. My condolences to you.
He was a great man. I loved him.
I appreciate you sharing your time about your mentor, Robert Duvall, the Academy Award winner, Landman himself, Billy Bob Thornton, here on the Rich Eisen Show. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was incredible. That's great.
Who knew? One of his greatest acting jobs is to let Robert Duvall think he's a meat eater. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.